Yeah, yeah, I do.
Pain in the
Come on in,
bum.
everybody. We see you out there.
Good
Good
day.
morning.
Morning.
It hasn't kicked over yet. There we go. Let's try it again.
It's live
On my
here.
wonderful Facebook page.
Oh, Facebook. All right.
Yep, live here, but private. So on Facebook, yeah. Come on in, everybody. Facebook's up and running. We're back. It's Comics by Night, folks. Comics by Night without Glenn. We hope he feels better. His cough is kicking up again. So he's getting some rest. He'll probably be in the chat because we've got some great stuff to show you, and he's not going to want to be quiet about it. So anytime you want to jump in here, Glenn. Yeah, he's with us in spirit. Let's run an opening and get this show on the road.
How dare you?
Oh, not that opening. Let's do this opening. Here we are, folks. Come on.
What was that? This is not a charade. We need total concentration. Now, once again, this time, with the...
I might have to re-record that. For some reason, I'm hearing my dehumidifier in that little clip from Kentucky Fried Movie.
I can't hear anything.
I hear a buzz in my my earphones.
You sure that's just not age?
It could be. I'll admit it.
Hey, Glenn's here in the chat.
Glenn's in the chat. Glenn, you can join us anytime you want.
Yo, Glenn.
He says, yeah, I'm here. You don't need to hear me sputtering through the show, so I'll just listen. All right.
There's a mute button.
There is. Sometimes it takes a second to hit it. So this is one of those reasons why I try to tell folks to go hit their local retailer and take a look at their long boxes or take a look at the magazine boxes that are closest to the floor, because you never know what you're going to find. And I've got a few. I don't have all of them. I got a few copies of very early Creepies here, and since it's October and we're in Halloween, I thought we'd look through them. So,
oh, hell yeah.
It's great old stuff. You can't never go wrong with one of those old Warren magazines. Even in their later years, when they got really wonky there for a bit, they're still entertaining.
I have never heard of this IP before.
Never, really?
Never heard of Creepy.
Wow. Yeah. Creepy, eerie, Vampirella. You've heard of Vampirella, right?
I've heard of Vampirella. There
you go.
Where she came from.
It's the company where she sprung from. Yeah, this started up in the early 60s, I think. After the yeah, exactly. After the EC's EC comic line folded, the Comic Code Authority kicked in, and Gaines decided not to do magazines except for Mad. And James Warren come in. Let me see if I can catch a date on this. This is Eerie. I've got Creepy number 4, which is copywritten. He said, looking. It's published bi-monthly at that point, 1965. Warren Publishing Company.
Is this a magazine or a comic?
Yes. No, this is a full magazine, black and white. But what happened is Warren come in and decided he was going to do what those ECs used to do. Mm-hmm. And so he started Eerie and Creepy. And Creepy has the more horrific short stories in them. After a while, Eerie became dedicated to just odd stories and IPs. They had a lot of continuing features in Eerie that would last 6, 7, 8 chapters, and then something would happen to the character.
Now, did they make these to get around the Comic Code Authority, or is that kind of dead by the time this came in?
No, the Code Authority was raging really strong when these started up. They were created out of the frustration of having to deal with the code
Okay.
and the fact that the audience for comics had been growing older since World War II. And this market here, these were sold up there with the Playboys and the Hustlers and that kind of stuff. And
I get it for the articles.
yeah, and every once in a while you'd get some topless drawings in there. But to start with, Warren went through and went through the talent pool that Gaines had built up over the years. All of these guys that used to work for the ECs naturally flocked to Creepy and Eerie, and then he picked up a lot of other folks along the way. He discovered a lot of outside talent, and a lot of the artwork is just unbelievable.
Oh, and those covers are gorgeous.
Levi's in the house. Dark Horse is currently reprinting all of Creepy and Eerie in 5-issue chunk paperbacks. Oh, that's cool. Well, they did them. They or Dynamite did them in hardback as archives not too long ago. We spent a couple of episodes going through an Eerie collection on, I think it was on Comics by Night, one of the early ones. Hello all. Also, hello all. Happy to catch the show live again. Happy you're here, Levi. Thanks for coming on. So anyway, I've picked these up over the years at retail shops and at comic conventions. Guys will bring the dealers will bring their magazine boxes, hoping that they'll get somebody to buy them. And if you can find a Creepy for $5 or lower, it's worth it. I've seen them as high as $20 and $30 a hit, especially some of the key issues get a little rough to find. That's why Dark Horse is doing those archives. Add that and the fact that there's so much great material in it. One of the places where Frazetta covers first came into prominence.
The left one is. Are they both Frazetta or just
that and Conan?
No, I don't think either of them are Frazetta.
No.
I believe that one is. This one is a very early example of Frazetta's work.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Lord. Oh yeah. You can see the.
Both of these actually are Frazetta. Both of these
are Frazetta. Do you know what? I'd never have said they were Frazetta. Good Lord.
Yeah. Look at the brushwork in here.
Yeah, but it's it looks far more generic than that.
Well,
from the Frazetta that I'm used to.
That is also Frazetta.
Yeah, that's more Frazetta.
And this later one, let's see the cover. Yeah,
that one on the right there looks very sort of Bernie Wrightson on the right.
Almost, yeah.
With the heads in the smoke.
In the mist, yeah.
Yeah.
That is also Frazetta, but that's really
obvious. That I would have definitely said that was Frazetta.
But this was done a couple of years after these were done.
Yeah,
this is issue 27.
See his progress.
Yeah.
Still all beautiful work.
Then I have number 12 that doesn't have a Frazetta cover on it. Oh no, it is a Frank Frazetta cover. Look at that. You'd never know it.
Completely different, isn't it?
Definitely attributed to him. So yeah. But anyway,
it reminds me of Steranko simply because of the strength of the design.
Yeah,
of the composition.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Can you face these new haunting tales of fear and horror? Yeah.
I don't know. Can you?
We could try. Not that new, 65. So what is it? 70, 60 years old almost. All great.
Well, yeah.
Just moving my light a little closer here. Is that too bright? Too much?
No, that's fine. That's good. There you go.
Okay,
perfect. Perfect.
Aim it a little bit away so you don't get the glare. It's all good.
I wish you would have done that months ago.
Creepy number 4. Artists in this issue: Reed Crandall, Jack Davis, George Evans, Frank Frazetta, Al McWilliams, Gray Morrow, Joe Orlando, Angelo Torres, and Al Williamson.
God. What a lineup.
Whiskey, if those names aren't familiar to you, just take it for granted. This is like an all-star roster of horror sequential artists. So
if you don't recognize those names, get yourself educated, mate.
that's why we do this.
What do you think I'm here for?
I have a few of those issues of Creepy in my archive. Wish I had the full set. The covers are worth the price alone. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very much so. This is where Frazetta learned to paint. Frazetta, I've got a couple of Frazetta stories in the EC volumes that he did. Started out doing sequential art, and then was a ghost for Al Cap on the Little Abner comic strip for about a year. And all the while he was taking up painting. Frazetta was. He did a short-lived strip also about a race car driver called Johnny Comet. That's just classic stuff. You were saying, Whiskey?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you there.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, so the only names I don't really recognize on there are, I think, Gary Morrow and Angelo.
Gray Morrow and Angelo Torres, yeah.
And I know Jack Davis, George Evans, Frank Frazetta, I think it's McWilliams. And then
Al Williamson. Yep.
Yeah.
Al McWilliams and Al Williamson are both in here.
Okay, I don't know one of those two Al's.
Okay. You just call him Al. We are Monster Rally, Uncle Creepy.
We know a song about that.
This is Angelo Torres here.
Wow.
Very, very much in the Williamson strip feel.
And then story by Archie Goodwin.
Yep. Story by Archie Goodwin.
Also
Archie was an editor for them for quite a few years during their most prime years. Goodwin made his reputation as an editor, I think, here on the Warren magazines. All in black and white. Mostly, this is ink wash here that we're looking at from Angelo. Look at that two-tone, just beautifully done. Some crazy good work here. They had their mailbag, and you can send them letters that they would print. It's just like those old ECs. They were really doing just real keynote stuff at the time. You couldn't find a better roster of artists during this period. And Lee was just starting to run Marvel at full bore at this point, 65.
Just like the picture in the one on this previous page. Well, it's in this page too, but the Igor over there. I'm just thinking about every time I see like Igor or like an Igor type character or Hunchback, I'm like, what hump? I always think of the Young Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
There's your wagon there in perspective.
Yeah, no 3D models included.
Yeah, long before 3D models.
Look at those steps.
Sorry to interrupt, I guess, but like a segue out of this, but it took me a ridiculous amount of time to find the undercarriage of a wagon, get a look out of it, look like I was planning to head to Amish country just to find a wagon. Like I'm just like, I can't. And I finally found one, but I got but it's like there's so much going on under there. It's ridiculous.
You have a large contingent of Amish over there in Canada?
No, we have Mennonites actually, but
is the undercarriage that important to the story?
Well, I had one shot where I was doing an undercarriage in the comic that I'm planning. So it kind of was, yeah.
Right.
You could have just faked it.
Yeah, just fake it. I like those. You just fake it. That's what I do all the time. Yeah. Like that. Those stairs, they're so well lit.
From here?
No, on the bottom left. Well, yeah, those, but bottom left there, the staircase, and then the Doctor's face.
Mm-hmm.
The starkness of it, the way it's been done, just absolutely superb.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! I just noticed down the bottom right where all the hands are coming out of the bars. What a shot that
All
is!
that negative space here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what a
Just
shot that
fantastic.
is!
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful stuff. That's why I love these old black and whites. There's always something to see.
And what number is this?
This is number 4.
Number 4. Off to Amazon. Off to eBay. Sorry.
Well, they have those archives. This was 35 cents when it first came out.
Yeah.
I'm looking for a date here. I know it was 65. They were printed bi-monthly to start with until they caught on, and then they went monthly for quite a few years. I think they were monthly for quite a few years. I could be wrong. They could have stayed bi-monthly. I know that they were always at the drugstore, and you were lucky enough to get them, find them. This is how I discovered the Spirit, was through Warren magazine reprints. They did a Spirit magazine for a couple of years, and just loved it. Picked it up, and there's 8 stories in this. This is cool. Just look at that smoke.
So which one are we looking at again? Number what?
This is number 4. One of the Frazetta covers, werewolf
Right.
covers. More spine-chilling comics of classic horror. They're if you get the first Creepy archive, Levi said they're available in paperback. They're probably not that expensive.
Yeah.
It's got like the first 5 or 6 issues in it. And all of it's just great classic stuff. Short stories by some of comics' greatest artists. Everybody ended up passing through Warren at the time at one point or another.
I've
got one of the stories in here has got one of the issues in here has got Gene Colan, and it's a weird, really wacky story by Ernie Colan in here. Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion for your channel. Yeah, okay. Let's see what I can do here.
What is Kermit the Frog?
Yay!
Hey.
I've got here number where are we? Volume 1. Oh, this is Collecting Creepy 1 to 5. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the block here and I can't find it. That's not good.
The hat with the strap just under the chin, gentleman's face on the right page there.
The Bobby here, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the circle, right? Yeah. Just that is so well done.
This is Al McWilliams. I have a really hard time discerning the styles between the two of them. They're very similar. Between Al Williamson and Al Mick Williams.
Makes me wonder if they ever did like each other's work and just like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they were the same person.
I've got Eerie Archives Volume 1 as well.
You can't lose with those either.
It's such a great shot too.
And the cool thing with the Eries, if you can get a run of them, is that there's a lot of really ingenious IPs in there that they'd run a character for like a half a dozen issues and then they'd kill him off. So he'd like there was a couple of them in there that were just constant. I'm a loser. I'm a loser. I'm a loser. And then the last episode, he completely loses and dies. Just some great storytelling.
Oh, yeah. You can get it on. You can get them brand new on Amazon.
The archives.
Yeah.
I know this indie comic creator who markets his entire book on the premise that he kills off characters, and it really works for him. Like he sells a lot of books.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I tell you what, just found myself in a world of expense.
I was going to say, you just found an expensive rabbit hole, didn't you?
Yeah, I just found an expense. I've got Creepy and Eerie Volumes 1.
Well, you were here when we went through the Erie volume. That was, I think, volume 1 or 2. It was a really
Yeah,
early
yeah.
collection of creepy, or
I went and bought
eerie stories.
I went and bought an original actually, but
Mhm.
I'm not in the market for the originals. But I just want to see, like, it's like having the essentials, the Marvel essentials.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
being able to flick through the black and whites is really important. I'm going to add
absolutely.
those to my cart. That's $50. There you
And
go.
the cool thing, the cool thing also, the Dynamite reprints, which is what the Erie one was. I've got a Vampirella Dynamite archive here that is around issue 50 of Vampirella. It's like 48 to 52 or 53. They are printed on such beautiful glossy white stock that all of the black and white lines pop right out. Here you're getting this newsprint dull yellow look because it's so old. I mean, this stuff just is so easily oxidated, and it's, you can see the darker yellow around
Yeah.
the edges there, even though it's been sitting in a box for ever. But those other archive volumes, if the Dark Horse is printed as well as the Dynamite ones, you can't go wrong with that. Just
Well,
some
I've just
beautiful,
bought them.
beautiful work. Yeah.
Just on the strength of this work here. I
Just turn a couple pages and you're gonna have to have it.
I had to have it because it's just gorgeous, especially with me inking so much at the moment.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, look at that.
And this is all cross hatching back
Yeah.
here. This isn't a zip screen. This is done by hand. Same
Beautiful.
thing with the shadow here. This is all line work. Beautifully done. This is an ink wash back here. Just a light ink wash, just enough to knock it back and emphasize different sections. Push and pull.
Wonderful.
Wonderful backside view here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great but.
All little lines done by brush. These the cross hatching here is pen. Then you've got a lot of use of negative space.
I've been playing with dip pens, and it's difficult to get them not to be scratchy.
All depends upon the board and the rag content.
Yeah,
the board that you're putting it on.
It's just not. Then I mean, I love working with them, but it's just not working with what I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
So I've ended up using the Tombow thin brush pens and a brush. So I'm doing both, and also I was watching Joe Kubert the other day, and how he inks.
Okay.
And the way that he laid down his lines, and then he thickened them up with his brush and put on the shading, and just seeing the way people like that, masters, the way they inked. And he was using a dip pen, he was using brushes, but he was also using mechanical pens as well, which is really weird.
Yeah.
He was basically doing anything to make it look the way that he wanted it to look.
That was the rapidograph back then, was saving grace, because you didn't have to keep dipping that, and if your pen point was sharp and your rag content was high on your board, you'd drag it up and you'd get a lot of just nasty blobby effects if you weren't careful. So
I was really keen to use them, but actually I've found that the Tombows have given me as good an effect. The only downside with the Tombows is if it's not a fresh Tombow, if you're using long lines, it can run out of ink.
Okay.
Whereas you can get longer lines out of the dip pens.
So the dip pen, are you talking about like the old calligraphy style ones?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that, yeah.
A little different though. Like a rounded head or like a...
Well, there's lots of that's the other thing.
There's a lot of different nibs.
Oh God, it's an absolute bloody nightmare working out which pen nib you need, which one it is, and then there's loads of different manufacturers. I ended up actually walking into an art shop in Oxford and picking up a couple of nibs.
Yeah.
Because I actually had them in front of me. I could see the width. I could see what they were doing. Bought them back and found that I'd bought exactly the same ones off Amazon. And all they were was just a different brand. And I tried them all out. And, it's nice to dip the pen and do the whole thing. But they were just... It was really scratchy. And it's obviously the mediums that I'm using. And it just wasn't... It wasn't helping me flow,
It was probably more the rag content of your board, unless you
Yeah,
had
probably.
an ultra sharp pen. Because some of them crow
yeah.
quills you could stab yourself with.
Yes, yeah,
and
exactly.
break the skin. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really quite. It just didn't work. So yeah, exactly, Glenn. Whatever gets you through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
So I ended up using the pens again, and I
Fingers,
have to
sponges.
say the Tombow pens are fabulous. They really give you a good fine line,
Cool.
but at the same time they are a brush,
Mhm.
which means that you get thin and thick. It's not just a mechanical line. So yeah, but watching Joe was just fantastic.
That's why he's the best, you know.
Yeah.
I got a couple of really good examples of his work. In fact, I got a tour magazine here that we'll look through one of these days real soon. That's Kubert's caveman story that he really loved doing, and you could see it that there's like love on every page. Great dinosaurs, great human anatomy, just everything on it is phenomenal.
He did this kind of troll thing coming out of a dark cave.
Okay.
And he just flicked in. It was just lines. He's just flicking it in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doing bits and pieces. He was talking about lighting, and then he filled the black behind it because it was coming out of a cave.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly there was this solid 3-dimensional thing emerging from the dark. It was just incredible. It's on video. You go see it on YouTube. Fantastic.
Can you share that link with me at some point?
Yeah.
If you find it.
Anytime
anybody finds those links, they need to promote them on whatever social media they're on. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it on my library.
I was gonna say, as far as like my pens and stuff go, I can't really afford to do it now, but I used to do when I was around 14, lots and lots of calligraphy because my parents had bought me a set for Christmas one time. No idea why, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm actually quite good at it. It's been a long time since I've done it, but
wouldn't take long to get that hand back. You're still young, so youngish. Glenn says I have a lot of those. I have a lot of those essentials. Yeah, mostly of the Kirby stuff, Thor, etc. Past Jack was when I lost interest. Some of the later essentials got pretty bad, and the DC did the equivalent with the Showcase Presents, and I skipped on a lot of those until I realized there was a reason they were printing the ones they were, because I'm like, who wants an elongated man, 500 pages of elongated man stories? Until you pick it up and you look at it, and it's all, Dick Giordano and Neil Adams, and it's like, okay, pretty cool stuff. So there's you can't really go wrong with an Essentials or a Booster Gold. A Showcase Presents. That's another one I was thinking was a waste of time until I picked it up.
So. Look at that gazebo there on the right bottom page there.
Yeah, this is all negative space use here.
Wow, that's impressive. Is this done on, do you think, 1 up or 2
up? Probably at this point. It's not 2 up. It's probably 1.5 up.
Okay.
They're probably working on a field of about, I would venture 11 or 12 wide by about 16 tall. It's not much bigger. It shrinks down real well. About 1.5. The magazine is a different width or a different dimension than your standard comic book. It's a little wider. Uncle Creepy is our narrator, just like with those old EC comics. Uncle Creepy and Cousin Eerie.
You don't see a lot of that narrative characters today where they kind of introduce the thing.
They're trying. There's some folks have them. You just have to look for them. Elvira's had a comic for a long time that's had horror short stories in it that she narrates, like Uncle Creepy, and that's the first one that comes to mind. I think Dynamite's still doing that. Like they've done a bunch of Elvira meets some other character lately, like Elvira meets Freddy and Elvira meets Vincent Price, that kind of thing.
Elvira. meets.
Exactly.
Lovely.
Art by Gary Morrow.
Gray Morrow. Yep.
That first image, good lord.
Gray Morrow was around the same time the continuity and Dick Giordano was running. He might have even had some association with them, but the way I know Gray Morrow, he did a lot of comic strip work for many, many years. Did a lot of this material, did a lot of the horror short story stuff that DC printed, House of Mystery, House of Secrets. Has a lot of his stuff. I can't remember the strip he was on. I know he did Zorro for a while. But all of the classic strips, I think he's done a stint at one point or another. He's got a great style. Had a great style. I should say he's no longer with us, but he has a large body of work. 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Ape creature in the bottom there. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, it's a Y.
Raoul Howell Gurr.
Alger.
Great stuff.
I love that these the way this is scanned in as well. It's just left all the greys intact. Beautiful.
But they probably had to dot screen them back during this time. So that's all. If you take a microscope to it, it's all little dots of black.
Right.
You probably couldn't do if you didn't get the grays in. Like look at those. I guess they're flamingos, birds on the left.
Yeah.
It'd be difficult if you.
Yeah, I just think it's just wonderful that it is all intact, that you can see everything. I mean, that's like a painting over there.
It is
with the birds. What you were saying.
Technically, it is an ink wash. I think when he first did it. Yeah.
Whole different approach.
Yeah.
I gotta try inking at some point. Just like give it a whirl and see if I have any idea what I'm doing.
Moon City. This is Al McWilliams again.
Moon City.
Well, I have experience painting. I have experience in 3D and lighting. I have experience painting miniatures, and I might have a good grasp of it. I don't know.
You probably do.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of mastering the tool and having the tenacity, the patience to master the tool. Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
That is the huge thing.
Definitely after the projects I'm currently working on, I'm going to spend a year doing sequentials. So just every day until I, get up there. So, well, I'll get there.
Yeah, here we have a zip screen going from dark to light. And then here we have, this looks like toothbrush stars. Or they'd mask off and use swipe a toothbrush white paint across there in order to get that graduated tone. Here too, just spatters of white on black field.
Don't talk about toothbrushes to Glenn.
Yeah.
Glenn knows how to do star fields.
It used to drive me crazy when I'd see a science fiction comic where the guy just inked around dots for stars. Jack Abel comes to mind. It's one of those inkers that did that kind of thing.
Well, I think what you've got to do is you've got to do one or the other. So
yeah.
I used to like the way Jack Kirby or Buscema or whatever would do ridiculously graphic versions of space.
Right, yeah.
I love that, seeing the planet and with rings around them and, stars with fire coming off them and all that. I love that. I put loads of that into Only Death in Favour. I just think graphically, it's not a representation in the way that you normally would do it.
Yeah.
It's a graphic representation. And I really enjoy seeing that. But I don't think you can mix the two up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to do a more illustrative style, then if you've got stars, then you need to make them more representative of the actual sky.
Yeah. Nice rocket there. Again, just some beautiful line work, solids with thin lines. Just a lot of strip work. A lot of comic strips were done in that style for many years.
It's damn impressive stuff.
Just beautiful work, yeah.
Kind of glad there's no color at all because it's quite nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. A lot of times it just would distract from the work. That was a lot of the fun about this period, 60s and 70s. You had your underground movement running. The independent comic market was just starting up, and a lot of these magazines were coming out, and color was way too expensive for them to be able to do a saleable product. So everything was in black and white. So you learned how to do every type of different tone ability that you could figure out, ink washes or lines or zipped screens or whatever you could get your hands on in order to print a decent image. This here is all line work down below, and this is Reed Crandall, the great Reed Crandall.
Okay, I kind of wish actually Glenn was here to talk about the composition on this one.
Yeah, it's just it moves in that Z pattern.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, nice diagonal horizon line.
Mm-hmm. Not quite straight.
It's just so good.
It's just crooked enough, and the moon there enough to emphasize the wolf, who is the main thing you want everybody to look at as he lunges.
Taking a screenshot of that and save that for a reference image.
Curse of the Full Moon. Reed Crandall. Reed Crandall, if I'm not mistaken, was part of the Eisner studio originally, Golden Age. He's known for a long run on Blackhawk for many years, which is all stuff that'll never be reprinted nowadays because they had a culturally inappropriate Asian mascot named Chop Chop. He used to run around with an axe and was your very stereotyped Asian, slant eyes, buck teeth, yellow skin, round. He was their cook. And he spoke as stereotypical as you could imagine. He spoke as bad as he looked.
Dr. Jones.
Which is really funny because Blackhawks was one of the first really diverse strips outside of not having an African character in it. It had a multinational cast, and then here comes the stereotype Asian Chop Chop. Everybody else was drawn, as realistic as possible, and then Chop Chop was your humor relief, so he was as cartoony as you could imagine running through. But beautiful artwork, though. And some really great stories in there if you can get past the stereotypes and the cultural inappropriate cultural use of culture. He wielded that axe pretty hard, that little hatchet he carried. There were a group of flyers with souped up planes, and they'd go around and do different missions. It's good stuff. I think DC kicked out an archive or two of it until they were, I guess they were shamed into stopping. But they definitely didn't reprint the entire run. And they ended up coming in and buying the quality comics line intentionally just to pick up Blackhawks because it was selling so well at the time.
Oh, this is great stuff.
Yeah. Crandall is amazing. Look at that lighting.
Well, I mean, for me, it's actually
more carriage work here.
I'm super happy about this because, I got a whole bunch of stuff in my book that I'm working on wagons and wagons exploding, and this is perfect. It's just here's all the references you ever need. Go to town.
You'll be all set for the return of the Western fad. So
yeah.
Which I'm sure will be coming.
Oh yeah, everything's coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's
all cyclable
apart at the moment.
Yeah, that too. Everybody's looking for escape, and everybody's going to be looking for cheap escape at that.
Yeah. Western zombie movies, they're the next big thing.
Think so. Again.
I don't know if zombies haven't run their course yet. They were.
Oh, I figured zombies had run their course 10 years ago, but they carried on. That's
There's
what zombies do.
Zombies.
Well, Stephen King Dance Macabre points out that the popular horror fads of the day are actually a reflection of society and society's opinion of itself.
And yeah, we're pretty much zombies at the moment, wandering
That's
around,
exactly it.
heads
Yeah.
in phones. Yeah.
Yep. Or just, blind followers of whatever mantra we want to adhere to.
Idiocy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that.
It's a great little wolf head there. Sorry if there's some wrinkles that pops up here. This magazine had a little bit of water damage. Again, this is all, what is that? No, that's all line work here.
Yeah.
Damn.
Excellent.
Line work here. Had to look close to see it. Line work, a little bit of ink wash. This is all line work here. All this gray tone. Just beautifully done. Negative space there.
Makes me wonder, particularly for this shot, if they use a photo reference or if they went out to, somebody's cabin and or just had been in Bavaria before or wherever the hell they are.
All of these greats at this point have literal file cabinets filled with photo reference. If you look at there's a great picture of Kubert's studio. It'd probably take me a second to dig up. He's got an entire wall of file cabinets, and in there's nothing but photo reference.
Well, I've just put 3 videos up in the private chat.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is somebody else doing an analysis on the Joe Kubert video. And then the 2 others are actually from the Joe Kubert school. One is the horror one, which is the one I was talking about, the golem coming out of the cave. And the other one is just inking.
Maybe we should take a few episodes out, and especially here in Comics by Night, and screen snipe this stuff.
Yeah, should.
As long as we're interrupting it every few minutes.
The analysis video was really good because it was doing pretty much that.
That would be
the
great.
whole point, what I was saying is you can see his studio, and I think he starts off every one with like a little preamble, and you can see all his reference and everything. It's brilliant.
Cool. Yeah.
I'd actually like to see an episode sometime in the future, just like people like one of us or doing art or something, just like a just
A
chilling.
draw stream. Yeah,
draw stream.
Chill and draw stream. Yeah.
I have streams on my channel.
Well, yeah, you do, but not on here. Where we're all together, we can all talk about it and answer questions.
Yeah. Michael's in the house. Thanks for listening live. We're watching us live. I've been getting the creepy and eerie reprints that started coming out this year. Sweet. Yeah, I'm going to have to get those and catch up. It looks cool. It is cool. Juan, thanks for watching.
Comics.
Appreciate you.
Oh, awesome.
Comics are awesome. Yeah, I don't have that clip, but
yeah.
Good old Keanu on the toilet.
Yeah.
Line work here. It's all. I think there's.
Comics are awesome because my marketing department tells me they are.
Exactly.
And I like Keanu. Really, I do.
Well, he's you've heard allegedly, because I have no clue. He's a genuine individual.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. By all accounts, he sounds like a top bloke. Yeah.
There are a few of those around. Yeah. That are just normal folk.
Top bloke or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously a marketing campaign.
Yeah, well, you never really know anymore.
We got to make money. I understand.
Well, they were saying Samuel L. Jackson is it's like that. Only he's very quiet. He gives away most of his money to charities and lives a very simple life. You don't need much, especially if you're young. Just a Spartan existence, traveling from one film production to the next.
How many millions do you need?
Yeah.
It becomes excess in the end.
I imagine there were entire months, maybe even years, that Nicolas Cage didn't have a permanent residence because he was always in something or other coming out. And he's a huge comic fan.
Yeah.
He lost his collection when he divorced Priscilla.
How can he lose his collection?
They made him liquidate it.
How hideous is that?
He had a huge collection. I mean, we're talking Superman 1 level collection. Yeah.
Bloody hell.
He's probably built it back up. He loves comics. He got he got his name from comics.
Yeah.
So I mean his stage name. Walked into a comic shop and saw Luke Cage, Hero for Hire, sitting there.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh, I'll be Nicolas Cage." More great line work here. The Trial
Weird,
of
that,
Adam
isn't it?
Link.
Seeing
what?
yourself in someone who doesn't look like you.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's what they call
Strange.
entertainment, though.
yeah.
You know, yeah. Used to love Power Man and
I'd
Shang-Chi. Those comics,
absolutely
phenomenal.
loved Nick Cage when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I was a little white boy who didn't
You
know.
mean Luke Cage? Yeah.
Yeah, who didn't know what the Bronx was all about, didn't understand the culture, but just loved the character. He was a fabulous character, and you were always cheering for him. I mean, it's like you were so behind him all the time. No, I love that.
And he was always behind in his rent and his bills.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
always having a hard time with money.
I thought they did a reasonably good Netflix of him. Actually,
Yeah.
I enjoyed that show.
Yeah, that
really
was a
did.
good
Was
show.
it-
Yeah.
I'm actually not deeply familiar with Luke Cage's stuff. So, was the Netflix adaptation spot on? You think?
It was good for what they had. It was
Yeah.
great for what they had. There's even a scene in it where he's in his
his
original
old
costume.
That's
Yeah.
funny. That's a
What-
great scene.
Which Luke Cage was really created during the blaxploitation days.
Yeah.
And they thought there would be a market there for a black superhero, so they created Luke Cage. They didn't use Black Panther, who was running around at the time. They wanted a American ghetto-based superhero character. So this guy is a ex-convict, and while he was in prison, they experimented on him and toughened his skin and raised his strength level. I think it eventually it ties back to the super soldier formula that with Captain America and that continuing those experiments. Anyway, he gets out and he was wrongly convicted in the first place, so he decides to dedicate his abilities to the street. Gets a apartment above a theater and works in Harlem.
I would say it's a reasonable approximation.
It's actually a really good. Sorry,
but you can't ever get a proper. I mean, Watchmen is about as good as you can get as far as an adaptation, I think.
Oh, from comic to screen, yeah.
You can never get it. It can never be 100% ever because
Have you seen the motion comics that they did?
No.
They're available on Max. They are amazing, just crazy good. Even though it's one narrator, they're still super enjoyable, and a lot of the animations crude looking, but fun. It's good, and they faithfully adapt the comic.
It's it's difficult to but at the same time, when you say they're faithfully adapting the comic, they're using the art, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
It's a different thing. It's making the original move
as
against a movie adapting it. The trouble is they're two completely different mediums.
They are,
and for the most part, they're two different audiences. And obviously there's crossover, but you can't expect movies. I've been very forgiving as far as movies are concerned. I mean, as far, for instance, the MCU, the first 10 years of it anyway, I haven't really watched it since Endgame, but the first 10 years, it wasn't my Marvel. It wasn't the Marvel I grew up with. It wasn't the Marvel of comics, but it was a good approximation for a movie scenario. I thought they did an excellent job. And,
you got these little flashes too. Of like geek boy moments is what I call them, where you see your character doing something right out of the comic, and you're like, oh, that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, the first time I saw the Avengers movie, it was like, oh, I'm a little kid again. And then the Civil War was just like, whoa, this is great.
The first X-Men movie when Wolverine pops his claws was like, oh, that geek boy moment right there.
You see, I know there's a lot of people that hate X-Men Origins, the Wolverine one. And, I'm quite forgiving for that kind of stuff. I thought it was all right. I enjoyed it. It was a good, fun movie. I didn't go too comic nerd on it. I just enjoyed it for the movie that it was. I'm quite forgiving as far as movies are concerned. I like crap movies. I like, just stuff that's just visual, just stupid, and I think you need to relax a little bit and just let things wash over you. But at the same time, there are objectively bad films.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff that absolutely objectively disrespects the
Material.
original material. So, for instance, the first 10 years of Marvel never disrespected the original material. It might not have followed it 100%. It might have gone its own way for a few things, but it was fairly respectful of the original material. Since then, not really, I don't think.
HR points out Sin City. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sin City was really close. Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite close. Yeah, but it's very rare. And even then, if you do that, it's very much the close. Oh, so for instance, visually, the Will Eisner film,
Spirit.
The Spirit, visually.
No.
Yeah.
No,
I think
no.
it did it. I think it did it.
The Spirit, the Spirit movie that Miller did was Sin City 3.
Yeah, I know, but it looked like a comic.
Well, yes, it did,
It
but
looked
that was
like a comic. What I'm saying is, it's very
at times
difficult.
too stereotypical of a comic.
It's very difficult to represent that kind of stuff in a movie.
It really is,
It's
because
very
you
difficult.
got to think about the budgets too. These things.
Yeah,
That's very true. Yeah,
and so it's difficult to apply the same kind of qualification to a movie as you do to comics. And so, really, in my mind, you shouldn't. You should just, let it wash over you, relax, and just see what comes out the other end.
Well,
however, disrespecting the content, the original content, that's the no-no. That's where you draw the line and go, I can't watch that. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
So,
there's got to be conversations where like a director is looking at like a comic book, to adapt it or whatever, and looking at the script, and they're like looking at a panel and they're like, that's got to be $6 million right there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are. Yeah, I'm sure
that's
they've
the
had
magic
that
of
conversation.
comic books.
Yeah.
That's the magic of comic books and why they will never go away.
Yeah, he said Frank missed it. Frank missed with that one, but I like it. It does have its charm unless you were really familiar with the material.
Yeah, it's
The
like I
Spirit
say,
movie, that is.
it's about what the point I was trying to make there was that you can make a comic book into a film.
Yes,
it can be done.
Yep.
But you're gonna lose one or the other along the way.
Yeah.
You're either going to lose the original core comic book nerds who are going to go, what the hell is this? Or you're going to lose a mainstream audience. I don't believe that you can satisfy both really properly.
I think you can do that, but it takes talent. It takes a lot of good talent. I mean, Zack Snyder's Watchmen is just,
Yeah, but again, it's got its detractors. It's got people
but it's not, it's more of a, I wouldn't even, there's superheroes in it, but I don't know if I would call it a superhero movie.
No, but it's a comic book adaptation.
It is a great comic book adaptation. Yeah.
I mean,
Sin City's like that. I think, go ahead.
Men in Black.
Men in Black, yeah.
I think with the pure word adaptation, it's an excellent adaptation, but it's not exactly like the comics.
Oh, it's a Will Smith vehicle.
Yeah.
More than the comic, yeah.
Well, again, they had to make money off it.
Oh, yeah, they did. Brad Bird was trying to do Spirit. Yes, he was. Yep. There's been a lot of attempts over the years, and only Miller really made it to screen because of Sin City and the fact that he could do it inexpensively. So, and even that, he was ready to go into full production on Buck Rogers right after that. And if the Spirit movie hadn't lost the money it did, he'd have ended up doing that property as well.
Oh.
Got the feeling of it. I read a part of it, jazz music. Yeah, it's got its charm. Spirit does, the movie, I mean. But like I said, if you know the source material, you start cringing on a lot of it. It's just way over the top.
A little bit off topic there, but is Flash Gordon open source?
No.
Buck
Rogers is technically open source. His strip started before Flash's did. Flash has still got a couple of years before he's in public domain. But it's getting there. About the same time that Superman goes into public domain, Flash Gordon will be in public
But
domain.
again, it's only that version of Superman, isn't it?
That's very true. Yeah.
It's only the one that can jump over tall buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to do a comic from Ming's perspective, like Emperor Ming.
Mm-hmm.
Just like his life and his,
Could be a very interesting
as
character.
a boy.
Yeah. Abused as a child.
No, sorry, Whiskey, all the nopes.
His father.
He's an evil villain. That's the end of it.
I like villains. I'm sorry. Foils are awesome. You can get a good foil with a good backstory.
No, I don't. Yes, you're right. I mean, for instance, classic would be Magneto.
Yeah.
You know, like they increased his character and gave him reasons, and very much with the story, it works with the story that he does have some. You do have some compassion for him, and then Thanos, even like he's completely in the wrong. However, his drive, all the best villains think they're saving the universe or doing something right. Okay, but sometimes you just need a bad guy. And
you don't have to give Ming's like history. You can just throw him in a room and then have fun with it.
I just want him to be idiot.
Very true. That's kind of what they did. And Ming is your Fu Manchu in space, literally.
Isn't it? Yeah. I don't think you could get away with that now.
And after a while, he just wouldn't go away. I mean, they did other Flash Gordon adventures where he went around to different planets and that, but they always ended up coming back to Ming because that's the formula that works.
It does work, yeah.
And I don't think they could have gotten anybody better than Max von Sydow to play him in the movie. He was perfect. Just absolutely. And the rest of the cast, most of the rest of the cast, Zarkov was okay, but the Flash and Dale were horrible. Just Batman acting level bad. Adam West level acting bad, but Ming was perfect. Yeah.
But let's face it, the King of the Hawk man, Brian Blessed, was fabulous.
Yeah, but that he knew the material, and I saw read an interview with him not too long ago. He knew the material, and he knew what the character was like when he took the part. That's why he took it.
Yeah,
was because he was there to choose scenery. That was his job. That's what he did, and he did it gloriously well.
Yeah, he does. Love him.
And absolutely, what a great actor.
Flash Gordon is just, it holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I like Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah, but and again, there's another comic book adaptation you're never going to see the likes of again. That's perfect timing with perfect, for the most part, the casting was a little off. The writing was Batman-ish and campy in places, but the design work on that was phenomenal. A lot of the characters, the ones who knew the property, took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And you've got outside of Sam Jones and Melody Anderson, you've got pretty close to an all-star cast in that film. Richard O'Brien is in there, and Timothy Dalton is in it. And it's just some great stuff. And the design work is perfect to the strip. The ship designs and the feel, the motif on that movie is just amazing. Yeah. Plus, then you've got that Queen soundtrack. So,
yeah.
And that was Freddie Mercury, probably at his height of his abilities.
In his pomp. Yeah.
Just phenomenal stuff. The whole band was, just dead on, some great stuff. Only Highlander is better than that. The soundtrack for Highlander is phenomenal.
That's a good
soundtrack. Good movie too.
Yeah.
Oh, just, yeah.
Except the second one. That wasn't.
Well, it's it's a good thing there was never a Flash Gordon 2, because it would have been overly campy and just look at what Joel Schumacher ended up doing to the Batman franchise. At the further along they get, the more of a parody of that character it becomes. Even Nolan's Batman was, by the third Batman movie, was a parody of the original. It keeps going downhill. They want to try to reinvent it, and they just need to leave stuff alone and do more. And even
Clooney might have been a good Batman if it hadn't been for that film.
Yeah. Batman Returns, the second what's his name movie? The guy who did Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah, Tim Burton. Yeah.
Tim Burton. The second Burton movie was a horrible parody of the first Batman movie.
I like that movie.
It was more Burton than it was Batman at that point.
I like that movie. Again, it's like the Flash Gordon movie. I got a special place in my heart for that.
All of that stuff does. That's what nostalgia's for, you know.
Did you guys?
I'll sit and watch Flash Gordon anytime.
Yeah,
I love it.
Do you like the colored one or the black and white version better?
Flash Gordon?
Yeah,
they both have their charms.
I like the black and white is my favorite.
The black and white one is funny, unintentionally funny, but that's because of their budget restraints. And a lot of those old serials are like that, though, where they're literally dealing with no budget. So in order to show somebody flying, they got to put a mannequin on a wire and slide it across the camera lens, you know, or the little toilet paper tube rockets that were Flash Gordon with the smoke that trailed off of them, even when they were traveling in space. There's a lot of charm in that. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of entertainment value in camp, you know. And Buster Crabbe was Flash Gordon. Even when he was Buck Rogers, he was Flash Gordon. So, yeah. Speaking
about entertainment value, look at the robot's forehead there.
They got some Joe Orlando here. Adam Link.
Yeah, that's a fabulous forehead there.
This is an adaptation, I think, off of Ray Bradbury or Otto Binder. Adapted by Otto Binder from his original story. Yeah. Adam Link was, they did quite a few Adam Link stories at DC as well. Otto wrote comics and novels and had quite the reputation back during this period as a writer. He was one of those writers that they took from Captain Marvel and put him on Superman because they needed that idea, that level of whimsy when the Comic Code Authority kicked in. So,
Otto Binder sounds like an incredibly useful machine in the stationery department.
Yeah. I've got there's a great biography of his out that was available on Amazon last time I knew. I know I've got a copy of it, but he had a brother that I don't remember his first name, but it started with an E. So when he and his brother used to write comic book stories, they would sign it as Eando Binder, EANDO Binder, and they were really good, great writers. This artwork here is by Joe Orlando, who we've looked at quite a few times with the EC books, and he was in a lot of that eerie material that we looked at. So again, using fine lines, a little bit of ink wash here and there, just in spots. The majority of this is line work. There's a little bit of ink wash back here, just to break things up a little. Zip screen, I think that looks like. Nope, that's cross hatching here on his jacket. Line work back here as well.
Lovely.
Yep. Yeah, Flash Gordon. This is a Flash Gordon Pixar movie with Brad Bird. I think he would hit the ball with that one. Probably if the cast was good. Yeah, Flash Gordon needs Hollywood love. Yeah. And you can't go wrong with Brad Bird on anything. Tomorrowland is a horribly appreciated movie that Disney didn't know how to market right, but it was fun. It's a good George Clooney film. Iron Giant is another example of a great movie that was mismarketed.
Yeah.
That Brad Bird did. He doesn't get enough appreciation because his movies, the really good movies, don't make money. So, didn't he? He didn't direct John Carter, did he?
I think
he might have. I think he might have.
Perhaps they got something against him.
I think. I don't know. Just in general, life against him because he does great work.
John Carter was a good film.
Doesn't get enough appreciation. Your typical Warren ads. Time for a flying monster, Rodin, and you used to be able to buy film clips and picture books and paperback books.
The Three Stooges in We Want Her Mummy.
Yeah. What was that one where is it just through the Three Stooges meet the werewolf or something like that? It was like
that was Abbott and Costello.
Abbott and Costello, right? Okay.
They met the werewolf, the mummy, and the Frankenstein. They were making a lot of money off of their monsters.
That was brilliant. I remember that.
Wait a second.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Classic stuff. Classic stuff. Yeah.
The top there. I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Wasn't that like? I know there was like Teen Wolf movie or something with like Michael J. Fox?
Michael J. Fox. Yeah. No, this is the 1950s version. I Was a Teenage Werewolf, who starred a young Michael Landon from Touched by an Angel and Little House on the Prairie. That Michael Landon. That was one of his first gigs.
Wow.
The 4D man.
See, another thing Warren is known for is they also got partnered up with Ackerman, Forrest J. Ackerman, who was a huge movie buff, and they ended up doing Famous Monsters of Filmland, which is why you're getting ads like this all over the place. They had film collections and picture books, and he did a number of. They were around for eons and inspired all of these horror guys that come up in the 80s. All picked up Famous Monsters back in the 60s when they were kids, and just loved it. And it had grainy, really bad photography of the stills of these movies. You couldn't get copies of them. You were lucky to see them Saturday afternoon on TV, or you catch a drive-in that's that's got those old grindhouse movies. But Famous Monsters of Filmland lasted for decades, just incredibly long period of time. Here they're selling Aurora model kits. You still see these come up every once in a while over on eBay.
I'd like to see like an actual physical version versus the picture.
It looks these are photos of the actual models here.
Yeah, but like it's like getting a McDonald's burger, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know until like you get like the McDonald's burger, and like it in the picture it's like one thing, but then what you get is like a hot slab of meat that's barely, on a bun. So like, yeah, it might be a picture of the thing, but is it the production model that's completely perfect, or the ones with defects?
It's the guys that have taken the production model and painted them over for the cover of the box.
Yeah,
that was it. They were all sheets of molded plastic. You have to break apart and glue together, smooth out, and then paint yourself.
Because that could also be the master copy, right? Before they what would they use? I can't remember the machine. I know this.
It could be the prototype. Yeah.
Yeah. So they would have had like the master copy, which would probably be like 3 or 4 times bigger than the original, the actual.
That might be too. I don't know.
I think it's a stereo lithograph. Maybe it's not stereo lithograph. I know this. I wrote it down somewhere because I looked into the machine, but there's a classic way of doing these things to get like models and things like that.
Sort of molded plastic set in boxes with decals, occasional decal or so on it. They used to sell for 98 cents. Way back when. You could go into your drugstore and pick up just like you could pick up those old car kits, those car model kits.
I think it's probably injection molding, but it might not be.
Yeah. They were injection molded, those old models, onto casts, molds, large sheets. You see it. There's a video out there where somebody has a model car model, large size, and it's broken down to one great big large wall. You used to have to take the parts and twist them until the plastic broke, and sand down the little parts that connected it to the
used to be on like a little grid.
Yeah,
frame.
They call them sprues.
Airfix used to do them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the first company that started doing model kits was
By a Giant Fly.
Oh God, I know this too. It's like Tiana. Hang on one sec.
Yeah, Aurora was really big for genre stuff. They did an entire monster line and a superhero line on top of doing model cars for decades. I don't think that company's even around anymore. Here's some old famous monsters of filmland, just as it was starting out. Great stuff. It's really kicked up the fandom for this kind of material. It's famous monsters. Influenced a lot of young filmmakers. More model kits. Another ad from Aurora. Stickers. Masks. You can buy your own perpetual motion solar engine. There we are.
I did.
Of course.
This is bothering me. Like,
And
I know
your-
all the stuff.
Your model of your own guillotine that you can keep at the house.
Wow.
Chamber of Horror. It's only 98 cents from Aurora.
Oh,
So it's back during the early Hammer movies, and drive-in theater was running.
used to have a
Big
Hammer
time.
House of Horror double bill on a Friday night when I was a
Yeah.
kid. That was great.
Creepy number 5. Another Frazetta cover. This issue includes Reed Crandall, Jack Davis, George Evans, Frank Frazetta, Al McWilliams, Gray Morrow, Joe Orlando, Angelo Torres, Alex Toth, and Al
Wow.
Williamson.
What a lineup.
That's an all-star cast again.
Yeah.
This is number 5, also from 65, I believe. Family Reunion, Archie Goodwin script with Joe Orlando art. Another letters page, Dear Uncle Creepy. He's laughing. Glenn says, my brother had that Batman model. We set it on fire, melted it, long gone. A lot of those did. That's why if you go over to, if you look for them on eBay, they're like, I don't know what, 100 and 120, 125 bucks to get one of those kits. You're lucky if you can get one of the original ones. There's been so many remakes off it. Somebody went out and ended up getting the molds for the majority of that stuff and made small runs of all of those model kits.
They're a $5 for a melted one.
Yeah. We are, again, a lot of this is ink wash, line work. Yeah,
It's got a bit of a European feel to it, this one.
it does. Yeah. Thick and thin. A lot of headshots. A little whop. That's a sound effect. Anyway. Getting out on the farm. Stop me when you find something you want to talk about. So, or we're just going to keep moving here. Great stuff. Fantastic car there.
Oh, he knew that it was Aaron and Horace. Even though they're all messed up.
And Horace, yeah.
Wow.
They're back. They're back from the dead. It's another great Warren title. Didn't last very long. Probably a dozen
Blazing
issues.
Combat.
Blazing Combat War Stories. Again, he's Warren is following EC's lead from Frontline Combat and Two Fisted Tales. Also, some great stories in there. I have a that exact book actually collection, but it's in such rough shape I don't dare show it to anybody. It's water damaged and ragtagged and covers ripped off of it. And the stories in it are phenomenal. A lot of this Severin here doing different warriors. Just some great war stories in that. Or I should say anti-war stories more than war stories. Untimely Tomb. Titled by Annie Murphy. Script by Archie Goodwin. Angelo Torres artwork. Great negative space at work here.
Mhm.
It's solids up against, just black and whites there. A little bit
Beautiful.
of crosshatch, a little bit of wash work as needed. Look at them folds.
Have you right? There's a Judge Dredd by an early Brian Bolland Judge Dredd, where there's this guy that's got these animatronic figures going out and doing crimes, and
Okay.
they're all like creepy monsters from this period.
Yeah.
And just looking at that page, I can see it there. This is obviously a strong influence, this kind of stuff.
That's got a Jekyll and Hyde coming through the fog.
Yeah.
What a great story. This is line work here.
That staircase with the whole thing is great.
Yeah. It's here as well. Also just great work. This is all line work here for the stone work. Solids. I am not familiar with what Angelo Torres ended up doing. I'm pretty sure he did some work for DC and Marvel over the years, but I couldn't tell you exactly what.
Just hit some of the K.
I'm sure if we look him up on Wikipedia, we'd find a huge bibliography of work because his name's very familiar.
Look at those last two panels on the right page.
What happened? It's a great shot here.
I didn't mean to hit him that hard. Best get out of here. Oops. Well, whoopsie doodle.
Sorry, chap. I'm out of here. Hello, I must be going.
And he just casually walks away and just murders a guy.
Something looking suspicious. Getting down into the mausoleum. So I wonder if they will reprint Blazing Combat also. I would buy it. I would imagine if they don't, that it'd be a pretty big travesty. If Dark Horse has got that license, they should definitely do it. The line, the magazine wasn't out for very long, but the material inside of it was really good. Apparently, Angelo Torres is still with us. He's 91. Awesome. Phenomenal.
Cool. Keep going, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of these guys have passed on. It's sad. It's a little bit of Jack Davis work in that ad there. Guess what Uncle Creepy's got for you? You've asked for it. You've begged for it. Oh, yeah, you've begged for it. And even threatened for it. Now I'm giving it to you. The Creepy Fan Club. Just send in the coupon. One slimy green dollar for a lifetime membership in the world's most fiendish fan club. Your friendly neighborhood ghost man will rush you an official creepy pin, a pocket-sized membership card with your own individual club number, and an 8x10 full-color, suitable for framing portrait of Uncle Creepy. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah, you want that on your wall, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. See below. Magnificently rendered by frenzied Frank Frazetta. Well, nowadays, I bet that print's probably worth a little bit of money.
Yeah.
You probably would want that on your wall.
Yeah. In future issues, this will become the fan club page where Uncle Creepy will print club news, stories, and drawings done by you, the members. Join now. Have
See,
a low membership number and first crack at having your story or drawing printed.
that's what Marvel and DC don't have anymore.
No,
They don't have that connection to the audience.
a lot of them don't want it. They just want to preach at you.
Yeah, they don't have that connection, and that's why their audience dwindles.
Yeah.
Does this stuff kind of stuff work with indie comics, like mid comic? They'll advertise.
The problem is you have to have them come out regularly.
Yes.
If you had even every other month, if you had like a 30-page book every other month, and you had a growing readership, you could do this kind of thing. But then, why would you do it when you've got the instant nature of YouTube?
Well, plus on the practical side of it, you have print on demand, which you have an incredibly high per unit cost.
Yeah.
And unless you have a huge following and you can web press books, you're talking, you're lucky if you're spending half of the money just to get the book printed.
Yeah.
And also shipping rates, where you're spending the other half of your money to get the book into people's hands.
It's difficult to do. I don't think it's even possible to do as an indie, to be honest.
There's a lot of folks that don't realize how little profit margin there is in funding. Crowdfunding. That's why you need the larger numbers, and there's always safety in numbers.
There isn't that much in anything.
No.
You would cry if you knew. Well, you guys know. People who might be watching, you'd cry if you knew how much you get from each book that's sold through a standard distribution setup.
Yeah.
It's criminal.
I think David Lloyd has seen this when he was doing V for Vendetta. Yep. That's HR says that's for Zeta's ad. Yeah. That was actually Warren selling a Frazetta print. Angelo Torres has made some fantastic pages, very Frazetta-like. Maybe Frank was helping. You never know. Hello, everyone. Dave's in the house. Genuine Comics.
Dave. I was just thinking
Good to see you,
about
Dave.
Speaking about somebody who could actually do a regular kind of thing like this would be Dave. I was like, hey, why not Dave?
Yeah. Sand Doom.
But to Russ, to answer your question, why would you do that as opposed to YouTube? Well, no, not everybody it visits YouTube, and B, not everybody likes being online, I guess, right?
Yeah, no, I mean they're all valid things. It's just how people approach that. You know, it's the mindset that goes into it.
A lot of people are logging off these days too. They're getting rid of social media and
well, a lot of folks are getting tired of that grind. Plus,
but nobody writes letters anymore either.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I think you're seeing a bit of burnout online from the pandemic too, because everybody was stuck indoors and they were online all the time.
Yeah.
So it burned themselves out over a period. Runs in cycles. Plus, you've got these idiot platforms that want to go through and regulate what you can and cannot say. So,
don't go on them. Yeah.
Better to be quiet and off of the platforms than to have to, oh my goodness, I'm going to get, a warning, or I'm in Facebook jail again, or whatever. I read that they did help each other out. Everybody helped each other out at this point, HR. If you could get a hold of them, especially if you were behind on a deadline, you shared a lot. There's that's where the whole of Continuity Studios come out of, with Neil Adams and Giordano and all of these folks all used to work in the same studio and share stuff back and forth. So we're looking at Al Williamson here, Sand Doom.
Story by Archie Goodwin.
Yep, Goodwin again.
Creepy number 4, right? Or no, 5.
This is 5. This is this is number 5. Zip screens back here, 2 different versions of it. Williamson did a lot of comic strip material, Secret Agent X9 and the like. Did Flash Gordon for a while. Did the Flash Gordon movie adaptation as well. I've got the hardback of that.
So now that I got your ear, Dave, I was looking at your tiers on your Perfect 10 stuff. the $200 tier. It's got like a commission piece. Would you be willing to do a cover, for that tier? Just out of curiosity, you could answer that at some point.
Dave says, I honestly don't want to do crowdfunding anymore, but it's the only way to keep making comics. Yep. I still hold to the thought, and it might be the old man in me talking, that somebody's going to come through with an accessible format that is readily available and readily accessible. Kind of like what DC did with Wednesday Comics for a short while, or Comic Shop News, or something like the Flint Comics paper that I did for a while. I'm still up on that format. No staples, just printed on cheap newsprint, sold very inexpensively, and out on a very regular basis.
Trouble is newsprint is being phased out, and trying to find people that will do it.
They're trying to phase it out. You've still got a lot of large web press printers out there and that are doing newspapers and alternative papers that would be more than happy to take on that work. It's just that they are becoming fewer and fewer all the time. That's because of the workload, though. There's just not enough people getting stuff in print like they used to.
You'd have to get a cadre of different artists to work with as well.
Mm-hmm. Or a large backstock of material to print.
That's also true, yeah.
But like I tell everybody, let me reach over the camera here. Archie's kept themselves alive for decades, doing this format, selling them in grocery stores, printed on incredibly cheap newsprint. And they had the Marvel contract for about a year and a half and kicked out some great little digest books. This is superhero oriented. In fact, the front story in this is all original material done by Tom DeFalco, Ron Frenz, and Al Milgrom. Some really old, not really old, but some old-time classic workhorses for Marvel. Doing the old Archie style.
Well,
and Archie's kept themselves alive for decades doing this format, because they're not surviving off of the comics sold in the retail shops. I'll tell you that. So they were hardly moving any when I was retailing. But those volumes and the collections that they've done, they're probably making quite a bit off of them. And it's such
they must have independent deals with grocery stores, whatever.
They've chains. Got with the distributors. Yeah, they've got a deal with the distributors to be on display right at the checkout, to be an impulse item for the grandparents to grab for their grandkids.
So who's that distributor?
Oh, there's a number of them across the country. It all depends
how
on
do you get your books to that distributor? That's the thing.
You have to go in and knock on their door and convince them to take you.
Right.
Don't they even have specialty racks too for Arch? Like, because
they do right as you're checking out. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're not standard size either.
Well, it's
because there's magazines and there's the Archie books.
Well, this is a standard. This is a standard print size. There's a lot of other publishers out there that don't do comics but do books in this format size. Like Poor Richard's Almanac. It's a little bit taller than this, but it fits in the same rack.
Actually, it's been a while since I've seen an Archie like a double digest, and it's actually been a while since I've been to a grocery store.
They get even thicker than that. So yeah, all the box stores, your Walmarts and Myers and that kind of stuff, all carry that, and they got to sell a ton of them. Plus they take returns on the Archie digest. They have to give credit and returns on them.
Nowadays, I just get my groceries delivered. But like the last,
there you are.
I could swear the last time I was in a grocery store and I saw a double digest of Archie, whatever, it had its own personal rack that was specifically sized for it. But I could be mistaken.
Well, they sell like ash can size saddle stitched magazines of recipes and little Hollywood stuff and kids puzzle books. Especially you go into a dollar store around here, you can see puzzle books printed on incredibly cheap newsprint in all sorts of different sizes and thicknesses and formats. It's just crazy. It just amazes me that comics don't follow that same lead. But there's nobody that these large corporations don't care. That's what it all comes down to. You know,
Sure.
the Marvel and DC are in the state that they're in because their corporate bosses don't care. They don't care what they do as long as those icons stay active and they can secure the copyright to sell for other merchandising. There's so little return anymore on the print books. They just you want to handle the comics? Go ahead. And it's been like that for a while. Even back when Martin Goodman had Marvel, he whittled it all down to his nephew running the office, Stan, to coordinate everything. And they didn't care. He didn't care what Stan did. That's how you got the Fantastic Four. Because Stan decided to write a comic like he wanted it written. Goodman probably didn't even read the book until after he saw the sales figures. He'd come down to Stan and says, "Hey, we need more of this. This made money. We need more of that." So, yeah, Genuine Dave. Yep, it's expensive. Williamson never wastes a line. His use of negative space is second to none. Absolutely, Glenn. Michael says, I talked to some people who read comics and manga. They said they like the smaller size of the manga because it's easier to transport around. Yep. Mm-hmm. Sure is. I am tempted to make my current comic in that size. Check around. A lot of that, though, you need a large web press. These books are printed in the thousands and bound together. And they're done on incredibly cheap newsprint. I mean, it's probably even cheaper than the newsprint that they printed these Warrens on. But supply and demand is a big thing. You know, you got to find somebody who's got a large Gutenberg, a large web press that they can print stuff out on. When I did my paper, that we had probably a half a dozen to a dozen large printing presses here in the state. Now we're whittled down to maybe a half a dozen. And that's just in 10 years. So, but they could really use the business, and the cool thing about the paper when I printed it, no staples, no cover, but they turned the product around from me giving them the art file to me having copies of the paper in my hand under 24 hours.
Good Lord.
And he used to apologize to me if he was going to be longer than a day and say, I got another big job on the press and I can't stop it. It's going to take an extra day. And I used to laugh over the phone the third or fourth time he told me that, because turnaround time for most of these comics that I was used to was 2 weeks. You know, that's normal turnaround time for any print on demand place. Even now, it takes a while for them to turn. This guy, 24, and I'm talking, if I had the file to him by 5 when his office is closed, he would have third shift printed. In fact, he liked running my paper on third shift because it kept the guys more awake, because it was all comics. And they'd sit there and watch the stuff come off the presses better. They paid more attention to quality because they had something to read, you know, that they wanted to read, as opposed to sales ads or newspaper or everything else, you know. And that's really the start of the comic book, those large web presses wanting to stay in action. So they took the comic strips out of the newspaper and stuck them together and put a couple stitches in the center of it and put it out on the stands just to see if it would sell. Now here we are looking at Reed Crandall again. Judge's House. But there's somebody's going to come out with a format that, whether it's at the grocery stores or the dollar stores or whatever, that'll fit them racks and have some good entertainment value on a regular basis.
Circling back to Russ's question there, like, how do you get them in the grocery stores?
You have to go in and
shake,
knock on the distributor's door and convince them to carry your product. That's all. Diamond used to have a whole series. In fact, I'm sure they still do have a whole series of hoops that everybody has to pass through. For a while there, they were insisting that you had 3 issues done before they would even consider distributing you. And the newspaper distributors are even worse than that. Or the magazine distributors, big time. And a lot of that was, shall we say, family controlled for a while.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking about family controlled, I've been recently kind of upset about is the libraries here in Canada are starting to go that way, because I used to be able to go like downtown Toronto or whatever,
Mhm.
and just get like a bunch of check out a bunch of different comic books, graphic novels, whatever.
Sure.
One's they built a library near me recently, and it's all new stock, and all of it's like curate. You can tell it's curated, right,
Hmm.
based on what's like on the shelves, and it's all very current day kind of stuff. And there's a couple comics, but it's all exactly what you would expect it to be.
Well, there is a big push, at least here in the States lately, to strip all of the libraries out and have them get rid of anything that wasn't printed before 2008. That seems to be a key year for some reason. But anything before that, they just want to ditch and completely, remove. It's a Orwellian,
Very.
mind speak type stuff, but they want to get, because everything before 2008 is problematic in one way or another.
It's surprising it's 2008 because you can go back to really the progressive cutoff thing. I would say for literature is like the modern stuff is 1995. Anything post 1995, it starts to get extremely progressive, and you can see it gets worse as it gets closer to the 2000s. But anything before 1995, there's none of that in it at all.
Yeah.
So I would just look at the dates of books now. Anything is like 1994. I'm like, I'll check that out.
So this old stuff though, like the stuff we're showing off here is phenomenal, and you just don't see it available. Now, all of this stuff should be in print. I mean, luckily, Dark Horse is reprinting this material in archives, but there's so much of this material is being neglected. Especially there's entire periods in comic history, like the underground movement in the 60s and 70s and the independent movement in the 70s and 80s, that if you see them, if I see them anywhere and I don't have it, I always pick it up. I don't care what the quality of it is, as long as it's from that era, just because there's going to be some sort of entertainment value to it in one way or another. And a lot, like I said, a lot of this stuff's just completely neglected. The early Arrow stuff, like Fish Police and Troll Lords, nobody, Love and Rockets, nobody talks about that stuff. Reed Fleming, the world's toughest milkman, Flaming Carrot. That everybody remembers Turtles, but there was so much other great material out there by a lot of really talented folks. What was it? Phil Foglio used to do a Buck Godot Zap Gun for Hire. That was about an overweight Han Solo character in space. That was just hilarious. There's been some really incredible material out there that you don't hear anybody talking about anymore. That's why we like doing this, showing this stuff off,
And
Michael says,
did Russ drop out there?
You see,
I'm still here.
Lunar distribution looks like the future of independent distribution. You never know. There's been talk of other little distributors and other little regional distributors. Michael, keep your eyes open, especially if you're producing product, and make sure that you're you have to be careful, because I've got caught up in a bad distribution idea a couple of years back that I'm still trying to recover from, but. There's going to be somebody out there. If it's not Lunar, it's going to be somebody else that's going to go out and appeal and mass distribute this stuff. It's only a matter of time, I think, before somebody pops up with a good system that works good for everybody. But in the meantime, we're kind of wild westing it, because we've been under a very restrictive distributor for so long, and now we're seeing the results of that from the decay of the retail market, or one of the results, that and substandard product being made available. You kick this stuff out after a while, the apathy level is going to catch, just like the MCU. The apathy level is so big that anymore you start wondering why anybody even bothers. It's a miracle. A lot of these retailers are still in business, and you're starting to hear now, and I think next year is going to be catastrophic for the retail business. I mean, comic shops. these guys going out of business because they can't. It's not a sustainable model.
You've got big ones already going out of business, haven't you?
Too big
Yeah.
ones going
Too
out.
big
Yeah.
to ignore.
Yep.
Not just ones that have started up in a mini boom over the last 10 years of people thinking that comic shops make you money. You know, literally people that have been around for years and years are now saying, no, we can't do it anymore.
And it's really irritating to me to see these guys going out, especially like the last week. They've had a couple of huge staple shops out on the West Coast and LA go out. Then they were the direct distribution system for comics really started up almost simultaneously in 3 locations. And that's one on around New York, one around the West Coast, and one around the Midwest, pretty much around the Chicago, Detroit area. And it's sad when you see 2 big stores, especially that were hub stores along the West Coast, say that they're going out, and
they're done.
It's especially sad to see that they blame like everything. In my mind, all of the ancillary reasons. Oh, rent's gone up, and
they can't bring themselves to say the comics are crap.
The comics are just terrible. Yeah.
Most of the stuff from the mainstream is just rubbish. It's just bad quality. It's, you know, you can talk about all kinds of things, ideology and political ideas and all the rest of it, and a lot of that has to blame as well. But just in general, there's just some really bad quality. You know, and that's not gonna do the market any good. You know, you can surprisingly you can get away with filling your comics with all kind of tripe. As long as it's done well.
Yeah, but now you've got these corporations up there again that just don't care. They just let anybody run rampant or do whatever they want, bring their good buddy up on there, or they find people that check the correct boxes in their mind or whatever.
But it's like, you know,
it's terrible.
It's like what Roland was saying about, you know, green lighting product. It's like, you know, with smaller studios, it's like, do you think this is going to sell? Yeah, okay, let's green light it, let's go. But with big corporates, it's like, is it going to make $1 million? Is it going to make $1 billion? Well, if it doesn't, then we're not interested. And I think that's what's going to happen with the indie movement. I think that's what's going to happen. You're going to find that there will be businesses that will say, well, we're quite happy to make hundreds of thousands or low millions. We're happy to make moderate amounts of money. There's a market here for comics. We're not interested in making billions. We're interested in making hundreds of thousands, and we can quite happily do that, and everybody gets something they want. That's the only way this is going to be saved.
Yeah, and the thing with the market is that it's always been based on micro payments. You know, all in color for a dime.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of small that makes the big amounts. That's how all of these companies got rich doing comics back in the 40s and 50s. They were just selling it for a dime. They were producing it as cheaply as they possibly could and treating all of the talent there like they were second rate people.
The reason that those comics became expensive in the 90s, you know, the old comics, and created this boom was because that people threw comics away in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. It's like it was disposable reading matter.
Sure was. That's the way it was always looked at. Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's become, for the most part, it's become a collector's market, which is why people are sort of making the casting the similarities between that and Beanie Babies.
Yeah.
You know, collector's markets eventually they just collapse.
You're saying Whiskey?
Yeah. Do you ever seen a movie called Wagons East?
No.
It sounds familiar.
So it's a comedy set in the
is that West John Candy?
Yeah, John Candy's in it, and there's like a doctor and he kills a guy. Important. There's one scene in the movie where he's just he goes into this bookstore and like everybody's fed up. All these other characters are fed up with their their lot in life, and that's why they decide to head east. So the out west, the old west, a bookseller. He goes in the book, or he's trying to sell books. One customer comes in. I think it's the only customer for the day, and it's like a whatever. And he's talking about, I need a big damn book, right? and he's just like, you're trying to sell this book to the guy, and he's just like, he just wants the book, right? So for like toilet paper on the outhouse. So he's like, how much for just the, like, it's like, here's Pride and Prejudice, and he's like, how much for just the Pride, like
Yeah.
book. And then he's just like, buys the book, or buys one volume of the book, or whatever, and then he just like tears like 3 pages out of it, and the guy's just wincing, and then goes off to the bathroom, and he hands it in and heads east, hangs up his hat, because or the store owner, because but yeah,
That's all the
disposable.
paper's worth. Yeah.
Their future distribution, Michael continues. I just hope they have a good deal for creators and publishers. Yeah. In the meantime, all the quality and all the love are in the crowdfunding, and turning into a niche market where a creator can make as much money dealing to 200 clients as they used to with Marvel dealing to 200,000. Great to hear about the old stuff in the comic ocean. Yeah. Sad to hear. Glenn says John Candy died just before filming ended on Wagons East. Yeah.
Well,
it's insane how much crap comics get, especially in the art world. Instant blocked. Yeah. I always looked at as second class. We're looking at some Alex Toth art here, by the way. Grave Undertaking. Alex Toth knocking it out with
wonderful angle. Look at that window. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Negative
the
space.
Old geezer over the board. Just brilliant.
This might be dual shade board here, for all I know. It looks to be about the same tone.
Every time I hear the word negative space, it reminds me of my first or second art teacher in high school, and that was the only thing she knew about art.
Negative space, yeah.
It was consistently, every lecture was about negative space. It's
just like everybody on Twitter.
Yeah, well, all the negative spaces in their heads. That's the trouble.
There you have a ink wash, I believe. Let me take a closer look here. That might be dots. That is dots. Zip screen here. A little walk. It's very much like the stuff he was doing for cartoons, which I think is about the same time. And we looked at Toth's cartoon book. Only this is a lot more serious. A lot of the same techniques here. Pardon?
What a book that was.
Yeah.
Just, look at the expressions on the faces and how simply he does it.
A little envious there, Russ.
Yeah.
No, you're a good artist. Don't sell yourself short.
Vampires.
I can sell myself short compared to Toth, I think.
Okay. Look at that. Even that wagon. There's no when they made this book, they were like, let's just make a bunch of wagons.
Those period horror pieces were big though back in the 60s. A lot of Poe, a little bit of Lovecraft during this time. Like it said, the Hammer films were rolling and real strong, and there was a lot of Victorian pieces in that. Just to have women in low cut cleavage tops.
Even that bell.
Great stuff.
Second page.
No.
The second page, second panel. Sorry, first page, second panel.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
The shot from the tower.
Yes. So I don't think it's illegal or anything, but I might borrow that.
Onward to what's this? Joe Orlando. This is Gray Morrow again. Yep. Look at that.
Gorgeous.
Damn.
That guy's face. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Nice horses here.
As we all know, horses are a bastard.
Revenge of the Beast. Great Western stuff here.
These are so nice, though.
Gray could draw anything, any time period. He's just really, really a great craftsman. He had a run on Flash Gordon for a few years on the strip. Quite a few years, if I remember right. Or it's at Buck Rogers, one of the two.
You know what's
Nice
worse?
set of horses here.
You know what's worse than doing horses? Horses and miniature sizing.
Mini tours? What?
Well, it's like miniatures, like because they're inflated and squat, right, and proportionately strange, right? And so you're just like, how do you get a guy on a horse when its legs are like, not as long as they're supposed to be, but make it look like the horse is the correct size?
Yeah.
Talk about a nightmare. Ugh. Get flashbacks.
More great Western stuff here. And just as you will do it to one another. Oh. Not much time left in today's episode.
No, we're getting close to the end now.
Yep,
All
we have
great
some of these
ads.
great old Warren magazine ads. Yeah. The Horror Scope movie viewer. Horror decals, anything that they could sell. Got a little, quite a big side hustle here from Warren. I got a couple of books from the back of Warren magazines when I was a kid. Great stuff. Old vinyl records. They used to sell vinyl recordings of old radio programs to the back of Warren as well. You'd catch all sorts of different things. Little 8mm films, masks, Hollywood masks. It's great stuff. Another subscription ad here with art by Jack Davis, the great Jack Davis,
Beautiful.
who could also draw anything. It's great stuff. Welcome to the Happy Haunting Ground. The Creepy Reserve is stocked with a weird assortment of fiendish fear and beastly beings. Join our happy host in horror, Uncle Creepy. What can you lose, except your mind, in this frenzied 5th edition of Creepy?
What can you lose except a limb?
To lose your mind. Another great Frazetta cover, folks. That was Creepy number 5. So I want to appreciate everybody out there. Hit that like and love button if you can. Leave a comment if you'd like. We're archived over at the Indie Comics Network YouTube channel, over at the Comic Book Black Belt or channel, and the Randy Zim YouTube channel as well. Anytime you want to look at back issues or the stuff that we've done before, it's all archived over there. We've been doing Comics by Night for a little over a year now. So the hardest thing, according to Glenn, the hardest thing to draw are Daleks. Do you agree, Russ?
Sorry, no.
And the hardest thing to pronounce correctly.
I've drawn a Dalek. No,
They're not hard to draw.
they are hard to draw, but I can safely say that a horse is harder.
Okay. Dave says sometimes you see a comic featuring a horse or a dog and you wonder why the artist just didn't bother using reference.
Yeah, just go and get some, please. Yeah.
Not sure what
what's
like
the worst is you don't know whether the horse is a dog or not.
There you are. Well, you had to draw whole Doctor Who stories with a horse, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a horse with wings. There's a fair amount of horses in this as well. In what we're doing for Cull. So
yeah. There's a whole parade at the start of the book. So
yeah,
all sorts of wonderful detail. That's
Lovely
what you're inking
parade.
now, isn't it? Yeah, lovely parade.
Lovely parade.
Russ, tell folks how they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me. Sorry, I'm on this camera, aren't You can find me at russleach.com. You can sign up for my email list there and find out about what's going on with Only Death Can Save Us. And most recently, and what's coming up soon, will be the Shadow Kingdom. That should be released in the new year. We'll be putting together a crowdfunder for that, and all my other connections are there. I can show you some of the inks that we've got at the moment. Sorry, my head off camera. I'll just share.
Make sure you go over to russleach.com and sign up for notifications on that campaign so that you won't miss out when it comes out. It's going to be a great product.
There's a one of the pieces there.
There we are. Maybe. Let's try it again. There we are.
There's a piece there. So there's, like I say, there's horses going on in there.
This is an adaptation of the public domain short story, The Shadow Kingdom.
There's the parade we were talking about,
which works out to a wonderful 68 pages, I believe, of artwork. It's going to make a great product, great book.
Really looking forward. I'm still not 100% sure on whether we're making this color or black and white as well.
I think we should offer both.
Yeah, the inks you're seeing. There's the intro page. Skulls.
I was looking at that logo. That's a really good. I like it.
Yeah, I drew that as well. So it's,
it's nice. Let's use that for the logo for the cover as well.
Yeah, it's come out well. So
they run a little Robert E. Howard's with a the Shadow Kingdom.
So here's the piece I was working on today while we were talking. So it's there.
Damn.
Hang on. Got to blow that up.
There you go.
There we go. Look at that, folks. Look at that.
Just take it back a bit. There you go.
Oh man.
So the pages are coming out really nice. I'm really pleased. Like I say, I was thinking of doing a wash on them.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like the cleanliness of the black line as far as the artwork is concerned. So I think what I'll do is I'm as you saw with the scans, I'm going to scan them in as black line. Then I'm going to do a mechanical wash in Clip Studio, and then once we finish with the mechanical wash, we'll decide whether we're going to put color on it or not, and see how that comes out. Either way, it's going to be available in the new year. Just as Randy said, you can sign up to my email list at russleach.com, and all my other connections are there. If you want to go to the YouTube, or to go see me on Instagram or whatever, on X, whatever it's called this week, you can do it all there at russleach.com.
I'm really looking forward to seeing that book out, because I don't think enough people realize how great of a writer Howard was.
Yeah.
And stuff is so enjoyable, and it's all available out there. Del Rey's got a set of volumes of his work out there. I can't recommend them highly enough. Just phenomenal stuff. And more every year, more and more of his material goes into the public domain, and we need to keep that stuff alive. I really believe that we need to keep it out there and remind folks what crazed sword wielding barbarians were all about. Yeah, Russ, are you doing only traditional with the Conan work? It's not really Conan, it's Cull.
It's Cull, but yeah, it's digital
work,
pencils. Yeah. So I do digital pencils because, as far as I'm concerned, it's no different to my normal pencils. It's just easier to keep track of. And slightly faster, and then I do traditional inks. Yeah.
Michael says, Russ, this is magnificent.
You.
Right up there with the best of the Savage Sword of Conan work.
Well,
yeah, that's the whole idea. Yeah.
Don't know about that, but thank you very much.
Now you're going to intimidate him. So, there, Cull. No problem. No, Cull was really the starting point for Conan. In fact, the very first Conan story is a rewritten Cull story that he couldn't sell to the editor at Weird Tales. So he went through and changed some elements around and kicked it out as Conan. He removed the Atlantis feel to it and created a whole Hyborian age in order to have a barbarian there. He didn't have to really worry about history or any it being attached to any other part of time. He could do what he wanted in it and that's why the Conan stories are the way that they are. But the Shadow Kingdom is really recognized as his first sword and sorcery tale that got printed. And he did a whole slew of cull stories and tried to sell them, and only ended up selling 3 off of the at the time. They're all classics now, and they're all reprinted in thick volumes, and just some beautiful work. And they've all been reprinted.
There's a whole bunch of people reproducing it with their own spot illustrations and stuff on Amazon. There's just a bundle of them, but there's very few comic book versions of them, and I think, well, I'm confident that this is the purest adaptation that you've seen so far. So,
I believe it is. Yep. We tried very, very much to stay within the story, and Dark Horse and Marvel have both done versions of it, but it doesn't hold to the original work. Anyway, look forward to that, folks. Whiskey, tell folks how they can find you.
Sure, you can find me on the old X there, Bandit and Ricochet. Just type that into Google or what have you, and then you can learn about my trials and tribulations online. Look at the projects I'm looking at, and experience my weaponized autism and online there. So the first project one of the projects I'm working on here is called Driftwood. It's a story about necromancers. I got Renzo Rodriguez on pencils and inks. I've been doing
fantastic artist, by the way.
Yeah. He is, yeah. And I got I've been doing the 3D reference art myself. It's the wagon we talked about earlier, having to do all the undercarriage work and finding out all that works. It's surprisingly complicated. And we got I've been doing some of the characters. This is Count Dantes, and I've been doing that, and it's all tied into this same universe that I've been working on for Banner Steed and Lance, which is a tabletop game set. The comic book is set several hundred years in the future of the tabletop game, and they're completely kind of different worlds. One is sort of based on the romance of the Middle Ages with slight fantasy, and the other one is more towards the age of piracy or the age of sail, and it's high fantasy. And one's about jousting, and the other's kind of about, it's a comic book. The tabletop game is going to have 3 different kinds of modules in it. It's got a skirmish module, a full war game module, a campaign module that's similar to Risk, and 4 modules, and then a narrative module where you're playing the sort of like a tournament or like of jousting and stuff like that, and you have to go around and either like assassinate the king or accomplish other goals and stuff like that with like agents and things like that. So like sort of like kind of like a board game. So there's multiple ways you can play the game. You can play everything as like a complete campaign, or you can break it up in individual parts for like a quick hour session, half-hour session at the game store. And this has been in development for several years. The comic is probably going to come out first, and then following maybe a little after that, the production on these will finally start.
Oh, quite in depth.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Make them plans. Just stick to it. Yep. I've been your host, Randy Zimmerman. You can catch me over at Facebook if you want. You can try to find me on Twitter, but I'm hardly ever there. I have a page over there, but I don't go over there because I consider that to be a bastion of hate and trolling. But Facebook, if you need to talk, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Plus, I do a podcast here 2 times a week on the Indie Comics Network and Russ Leach Comic Book Black Belt channel and Randy Zim YouTube channel, where we talk about comics and the stuff that we love. And Sunday morning, we have the Sunday Funnies at 9 a.m., where we talk about the stuff that really inspires us and keeps us going. And because it's the last show in October, and we try to stick to horror and horror comics, we're going to take a look at both sides of Bernie Wrightson this Sunday. Oh. And that is, I've got the Showcase Presents here of House of Mystery, which is some of his earliest work from 1971 on that very few people have seen, unless you've been lucky enough to find the Showcase Presents volume. And then also, I've got a copy of one of his sketchbooks that were put together back in the early 2000s called Creatures Featured, that has a lot of production drawings and single spot illustrations and that with
Nice.
it. That if we have time, we'll look through that as well. So check out for some rarely seen Bernie Wrightson this Sunday at Sunday Funnies, 9 a.m. Then next week after that, I'm doing a 2-day show in Grand Rapids. So we will be pre-recording both Comics by Night and Sunday Funnies. Well, we'll carry on more great stuff. So you can look forward to that. The chat won't necessarily be open, but the shows will broadcast at their usual time and just be pre-recorded. And we'll be looking at some other great stuff. We'll hopefully have a few other special guests, folks that really don't want to get up this early to do a Comics by Night or a Sunday Funnies. Maybe we'll get Brian. Maybe we'll see if Scott Rosema is available and show off some craziness with some different people. So hope you'll join us for those. We're always archived over at those places, though. So anytime that you're working, you can stand listening to us and looking at some great stuff. Go over there and enjoy us. Make sure you hit that like and love button and leave a comment if you can. Let us know if there's anything you want us to take a look at. We're always willing to, and I've got access to a lot of stuff. We can probably find whatever you want us to take a look at if we don't have copies already, and we'd be more than happy to do that. HR says maybe some of Mike Plug's material. We went through some Weird World on Sunday Funnies. We did some Oddball Marvel books where we looked at Plug's Weird World material. That was really great stuff. And yeah, I've got quite a bit of Mike Plug. I like his stuff very much. And especially, we'll make sure we look at some of that next October, especially as because he started like Frankenstein and Ghost Rider and what's it, Werewolf by Night. He started I think all three of those books, doing some phenomenal material.
He did Man Thing, didn't he?
Did Planet of the Apes? Yeah, did Man Thing. Did Planet of the Apes for magazine for a bit. Absolutely.
So what I knew him best for was Man Thing and a bit of Planet of the Apes. I've got a full set of first 10 Planet of the Apes.
There originals.
We are. Yeah, very happy with that.
Sweet. Maybe we'll have you show those off.
Yeah,
sometime
we'll do
real
a
soon.
show on that. Yeah.
That material, again, it's underappreciated. You hardly see it. I want to also do an entire month on Mobius. I got a lot of Mobius stuff, and we haven't looked at a lot of his material. Yeah. And at least one show I'd like to do on Vaughn Baudet, but we'd have to go through and be careful and edit out some of the boobies on that.
There's just what's great about this show is that it's never ending. There's just so much stuff.
So much.
There's no way we'd ever get through everything. No. So it's wonderful content.
Yeah. There's always something there, always something to look at. Hit your local conventions, hit your local retailer. Take a look at some of that older material. A lot of that they haven't even priced in maybe a decade or so. So you can get some really good deals out there. And a lot of times your local retailer would just be happy to see it go out the door because he's had it for so long. So you might be able to get some great deals if you ask nice enough. Don't try to pound them down too much. Folks, we deeply appreciate every one of you that watches us. We love doing this. That's why we do it. We're not monetized. We're not making money off of this, but we appreciate your appreciation. And we hope that you love this stuff as much as we do, because there's so much great material out there for you to see. So if you get a chance, go over to arrowcomics.store. That's where you can see some of my work. You can pick up books like he said, desperately reaching for his pile of stuff here, like Calico Shard. That's a fantasy book that I've done, or most especially, one of my proudest works is Herobot Zero, which is a book I've done primarily. A little 3-foot-tall giant robot with a bad attitude as he fights large monsters and other menaces. Keeps his city menace-free as long as he can do it on the clock and get time and a half for overtime. The Fool, also over there, urban vigilante, fighting street crime with practical joke weapons. And, little nuts. The cops are trying to get him off the street to keep himself from harming himself and others. That's also, if it's not available over there now, it will be very shortly. Arrowcomics.store. Go over there and take a look. Also, I've got 2 PDF files that are available over there of really old, an angry little cartoon monkey I do named Spank that I just recently colorized, that are available over there only in PDF format, that I'm very proud of, real happy with that work, and hope that you get a chance to take a look at that as well. Fun stuff. just lighthearted. The second issue of Spank that is dedicated to the strip club situation that we used to have here in Flint. It used to be a great little shop town and a lot of disposable income and a lot of vices. So we were the home of the $5 lap dance for many, many, many years. So you go over there and enjoy that material as well. Please, 18 and older, only for that particular book. We do have an adult warning on it. So HR says, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, he's probably talking about the Planet of the Apes material. There's so much stuff out there for so many years. So many great classic cartoonists that don't get the love or appreciation that's deserved now. And not just here in the States either, all over the world. There's so much great material to see. I've got almost a full run of Tintin that we could look at if we wanted, or all sorts of old. We've done a couple of episodes on comic strips. I've got an entire set of Star Wars comic strips, all by Al Williamson and Archie Goodwin. That's second to none. Just beautiful stuff. Russ Manning, Tarzans. You can go on for days just mentioning this stuff. So.
Yeah, just talking about it.
Yep. Just and we love doing it, and we can do it. We've done it for 2 hours here already. We're past the 2 hour mark. We deeply appreciate everybody out there. We're gonna take off now, and hope you have a great weekend. And we'll see you Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for Sunday Funnies. So we look at some great Bernie Wrights and stuff. Take care, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Farewell.
And we'll see you.
If you look at something and there's nothing there, what's the difference of figuring out what it was in the first place?
What was that? This is not a charade. We need total concentration. Now, once again, this time, with theory.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
How dare you?
Get off my lawn.
Joke's on you, bitch. I love this shit.
The views and opinions expressed within the video content found on the Indie Comics Network are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of the Indie Comics Network or its sponsors.
And when I was out digging up those old magazines, those creepies to show off, I ran across a copy of this baby too.
Gil Kane.
We'll look at sometime very soon. Gil Kane Savage. Also, Gil Kane's Black Mark. Material. That's Gil Kane doing a post-apocalyptic barbarian character. Just phenomenal stuff. Folks, take care. We'll see you soon.
That's for Danya.
Have a question or comment for us to address on the show? Have a topic you want us to talk about? Email us at indiecomicsnetwork@gmail.com. Want your comics to arrive in pristine condition? Head over to GeminiComicSupply.com and save 10% on your next Gemini mailer order or anything in the Gemini Comic Supply store. Use coupon code RAGIN10. That's RAGIN 10.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked? There's a market for that.
Oh, come on. I hate it.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face. Buttered sausage. It's not my gem. I don't buy gem. I buy honey.